Good morning, everyone, and thank you, NASCOM, for giving me the opportunity to moderate this session, and which is on a topic which is very futuristic, but the foundation of that technology is being laid currently, and we have two gentlemen from companies, one which is developing technologies, and the another one which is deploying the technology at their network. So we are discussing 6G at a time when, at the global level, we are seeing the deployment of 5G, the 5G cases, use cases which are being built out. But at the same time, there is a lot of chatter about 6G, what sort of benefits 6G is going to bring to the table to the telecom operators, and how it is going to change the societies. So I will start the discussion by first asking Kevin how has been the company that he works for, Dash, the 5G that they have deployed, the technologies that they have used, do they really need 6G? If he could help us set the context, understand like what new benefits 6G is going to bring to the table compared to 5G, or I think, or do we think that 5G is sufficient enough for years to come, and we need to discuss 6G in, I think, after 2030, maybe once the standard phase is over. So Kevin, would you like to kind of help us understand?
Yeah, thanks, Danish, and thanks everyone for having me here. At Dish, we have deployed the world's first cloud-native 5G standalone network, right? And it's an Open RAN base. So, and when we say Open RAN, we really mean it. We've got multiple RAN providers in our ecosystem, and we flip them around as we please, right? I was given the example to you, Danish, earlier today, right? I have the ability to push a button and move a market from Mavenir RAN to Samsung RAN overnight. So that's a very unique capability that comes with Open RAN and all the automation that we do within Open RAN. That being said, it is 5G. It is brand new. We have not actually realized all the benefits of 5G yet in the industry. 6G is still needed in our future, but I think we're moving away from revolutionary Gs to just evolutionary. Right, we're going to start to develop new interfaces. We're going to start to develop new technology. You're going to get better throughput. You're going to have more use cases in the AI space that 6G is going to help. But before we get there, there's still a tremendous amount of value that we need to extract out of the 5G space.
Sure. Satish, Nokia is something, or is a company which is very instrumental in kind of bringing latest technologies to the market. It is currently powering all four telecom operators in the country, and two of the 5G networks are live. A lot of work Nokia does in India in terms of developing new technologies or helping the headquarters in terms of building the whole stack. And at the same time, in India, a lot of chat or the push is from the government to kind of take a lead in terms of building 6G standards. So from you, I want to understand what Nokia is doing so far in the 6G standardization direction, and do you think that, like, adding to Kevin's statement that a lot of things need to be realized in 5G, within 5G, and we need to kind of wait to understand what 6G brings to the table? Satish.
Thanks a lot, Danish, and also thanks a lot, NASCOM, for giving me this opportunity in front of this august audience. I'll probably, Danish, if you may allow, answer your questions in the reverse fashion. So maybe I'll start by adding to what Kevin created a good platform. So while 5G offers a lot of opportunities in terms of what it can give to the users, say for example, broadband at scale, supporting applications like XR, which was not imagined before, and then supporting industries, etc. And then I also agree that there are many opportunities that are yet to be realized. So that is kind of a given. But then with the opportunities, challenges don't wait for opportunities to be exhausted and then come. So there are already many challenges that are driving us to look beyond. For example, the data consumption that we see is like increasing at such a rapid pace that it will force people to upgrade their network to some technology. According to GSMA report that was published in May, I think by 2030, we would have to support 50 GB per month per user data. And that will not be possible with the existing networks. And then the next thing is the kind of devices that we are seeing. So we had smartphones doing voice, smartphones doing data, and then you have devices which can which are not even smartphones these days. So to handle such a wide variety of devices, again, we need to look at technologies that are beyond that, which are having the current capabilities. Then, of course, there are many things that, you can support large data rates, but then there are things like energy consumption, security, ability to open it to industries, etc., that require really some kind of fundamental change or some step beyond what the existing networks are. And, that is what motivates Nokia to get into 6G. So these were the drivers why we started to look at 6G now. And you are right that, standards will be formed in 2030. But then we need to start the work now in terms of identifying what are those technologies that will come. And even before that, I mean, so one big learning that we have from our deployments of 5G is, right, in some sense we put the cart or we put the cart in the front, and then we did not know where to go, right? So we are still realizing how it can be used and all that. But in 6G, we are taking the other way around. So what we are doing is, we are trying to get as much information from the potential consumers of the technology, what are the actual use cases that will be needed. So rather than going behind fancy technologies that of course make us look very cool, we are looking at more practical applications which will be driving the technology. So therefore our focus are very unglamorous things like ensuring sustainability, creating an API economy from the network. How do we create most reliable network by integrating with things like satellite technology? So those are the things that are driving us towards 6G, and therefore, I mean, so these solutions do not exist today. That is why obviously the world has started globally, and Nokia has been part of many of the global initiatives. So our journey with 6G started as long as 5 years back. So we were very instrumental in setting up this SNSJU, which is this Europe's 6G research framework, if you may, to be kept very simple. Where we started getting all the stakeholders together in terms of understanding what are the needs of the society and how we tackle them. Then, of course, the famous projects that were started. There are around 63 projects that were started, a very collaborative way, academia, industry, government, all the stakeholders, operators, everybody participates in that. So we have the famous HexaX project, HexaX2 project now. So HexaX focused on research. Now HexaX2 talks about what are the concepts that might go into standardization in 2025, and then it will take its course through. So we have been very involved in that. We have been one of the founding members of the NextG Alliance in US. The first 6G, even when people were still talking about 5G, was started in Finland. So not surprisingly, Nokia worked with University of Oulu and started that first 6G project. So we look at it 6G, to be very short, in a very so we look at it in a very collaborative way. And there are more examples what we are doing in Korea and Japan. Maybe not delve into that. So we are already working with a large number of stakeholders, one particularly to identify what are the actual use cases that would be needed, and from that derive the technologies that have to come on day one, and then of course they will evolve to support sophisticated things. India, you said, is in a very unique place now, given the kind of growth that the country has seen. In terms of economy also, if you see, I mean, overall, globally, there is a little bit of gloom or downturn, if I may, I mean, not claiming to be an economist, but here things are quite positive in terms of growth. So therefore, being one of the biggest market, if you look at Geo network, that has become one of the largest, if not the largest 5G networks in the world in a very short span of time, which is within less than 1 year. So we see a lot of potential. There is a lot of appetite, both in the operators in terms of identifying which are the disruptive technologies that they can attack in 2030, and then also in the government to take a lead. So we think because of this, and certainly the kind of enthusiasm, young population, academic strength that we have, we are very right placed not to follow in 5G that we did, but to have a chance in kind of leading 6G development. So in that sense, there are many organizations, and Nokia is very closely working with both industry partners as well as government as well as academia. So we started first of the kind 6G lab, so that we create a platform, and where people from academia, startups, etc. can come, and we can learn and do something together.
Right.
So in that way, we are very right placed.
Sure. So Satish talked about various use cases and the challenges we may foresee in the future, which is leading to the development of 6G. So Kevin, your network is live based on Open RAN technology, 5G standalone architecture, and a lot of use cases which are not available in the market or are not available commercially in the market, your network can support it as of yet. So do you think that 6G is a far-fetched dream, and we should first see what 5G can unlock, because network slicing as an element is there in terms of what 5G offers, which can enable a lot of enterprise use cases, and that's where the monetization is going to kick in, because there is so much you could offer to consumers in terms of the services that we use on our smartphones. Do you think that we have just scratched the surface in terms of the potential of 5G, and it should take some time before we kind of move forward when it comes to the 6G development, because we are currently in the standardization phase only, and we should first focus on getting the ROIs on the 5G technology.
I think far-fetched dream is probably too far of a statement, right? It's a reality. We will need to get there. The statements around how much consumers are going to drive throughput, the consumption of these networks, it is going to be 20x by 2030, right? So that's a reality that we live in. We know the curve that we're on as an operator and what we need to provide to our consumers. So I'm happy to have partners like Nokia, working in this space to get us to a point where the technology will exist when the operators need it. Right? Now, the question of when the operator needs it is going to be a question of how well can we advance 5G before we need to move to 6G in order to meet the demand, right? So there's a lot of things in advancements between 3G to 4G, 4G LTE, 4G Advanced, right, that came along that were not part of the original anticipation of even 4G. That allowed the 4G networks to actually maintain and grow and provide things that they weren't even expected to provide. I think the same thing is going to take place in the 5G space. We absolutely will need the 6G at some point. But like I said, it's less of a revolutionary item here. It's more of an evolutionary involvement. And yeah, the technology is hard. This is actually not an easy space to be in. It's not a typical IT workload. We're not talking about microservicing aspects of this. Those are actually relatively easy to do. Moving the technology, moving RAN, moving our connectivity is not an easy thing. So it takes people to drive this investment for a decade or more so that we have it when we need it as a society.
Sure. While we discuss 5G and 6G, we must discuss the current trend, or rather, which has picked up commercially, is the development of open technologies, open RAN. Dish has deployed it. Reliance Jio is kind of working on it. The whole India stack is built on the concept of disaggregated networks. Kevin, I want to understand from you, because we have Satish from Nokia, which has been a traditional vendor, and you have deployed a technology which is open and which allows integration of various vendors into one network. Do you think that with 6G, this open RAN chatter or talks about open networks will only pick up, and everything should be open, disaggregated, so that as a telco, you get more flexibility in kind of deploying new services and kind of provisioning the various processes that you may have within your network?
Yeah, I mean, Open RAN is driving a lot of efficiency and interoperability capabilities that your traditional even disaggregated networks, and certainly your former more black box networks from Ericsson and Nokia's of the world, right? They just never allowed for. So in some sense, we have the ability to drive better efficiency. We have certainly better automation capabilities in this space. We have the ability to give enterprise use cases or customer use cases in a very specific way without having to go out and rebuild the network. We can do it from a central location. It is software-based. It is, the upgrade of a network can be done much more efficiently now than it has been in the past without the disaggregated networks. Open RAN helps us as an operator make those decisions more freely to better service our customers. And that's the big piece of what we did at Dish and why we decided to do this for our US network, is to be open, to be able to have that real technical advancement, because you're competing against a known entity that has the same capability as you on those same open interfaces. And so who can get there first is oftentimes going to make the best decision and allows the operator to service the customer.
Right, right. Satish, you have comments to make because you are a traditional vendor. Although time and again Nokia has said that they also support open RAN technology and disaggregated networks. Do you think that a company which is a century old is ready to embrace open technology, and this is the way forward wherein everyone kind of should join forces and see what can be achieved?
So you kept calling us a traditional company. So I would say we are a company with a tradition certainly, but to create disruptions. So century-old company, yes. So Nokia started with building shoes, then it built rubber, tire, ships. Then at some point in time we came into smartphones, and now we are big into network. So I mean, just on the lighter side, right? In terms of disruption, software openness is there to stay. And if you see, Nokia has been part of the Open RAN consortium right from the beginning. So we have been great supporters of that. And we certainly see that, you know, openness, open interfaces have a very key role to play in the evolution of technology, because that is where the whole evolution is going, right? There are some advantages, there are some challenges. We are working on the challenges, and then certainly ready to embrace the opportunities there. So
Sure, sure. Uh, Open RAN is a technology, for instance, which US is kind of proposing, and India also wants to like play a role in this direction. Not many countries are kind of, because the whole Europe is led by European vendors, and then we have Chinese stack by Huawei and ZTE. Do you think that it is a market reality where we should have alternate technologies, and India and US can collaborate kind of in terms of exchanging technology and technology know-how to build solid interfaces and network technologies?
I think I'd be remiss if I don't give a plug for our Orchid lab in the US and bringing all of our partners in there. So it's an Open RAN Center for Integration and Development. The US government has actually given EchoStar several $1 million in grant funds there. We've opened the lab. We've pulled in our partners there for both Open RAN and everyone around the Open RAN ecosystem that can support it. I think India's got a tremendous workforce here, and we've certainly leveraged it like every other communication provider and product provider in this space has. And with that workforce here and the skill development here, you can drive things like testing automation. You can drive things like certification programs. You can drive things like better supply chain interaction, building the products for these open ecosystems and supporting the products for those open ecosystems. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for the US and India to collaborate, to share technology both ways.
Sure. Satish, in India, we have seen that we have a 6G vision laid out by the Indian government, wherein India wants at least 10% of the global IPs on 6G should remain within the Indian companies. How do you see India's role so far? Because in 5G, we kind of missed the bus, kind of helping develop the standard. We came up with 5Gi, which was kind of an Indian standard of 5G, but by that time, 3GPP kind of rolled out this 5G standard. Do you think that time is right and for India to kind of be more prominent and emerge as a formidable player in terms of helping shape 6G standards for the world?
absolutely, absolutely. And if you have seen over the recent, 2, 3 years, India has made the right intentions, announcement, and also put in the right structures in place for us to take a leap in terms of 6G. So 5G we started late, then we did an experiment with 5Gi, but then later that was a good experience for everybody in the ecosystem, and that really stressed the value of global standards. 5Gi would have been an island. So there was an experiment done by China also in terms of like 3G days, what we call STD, SCDMA, that did not fly. 5Gi also had those challenges, but it gave us an experience of, what is the value of global standards in terms of scalability, affordability that you get if you have a standard that actually applies to the whole of the globe, right? And then in terms of government's vision, I think one thing is that, development of technologies here from India, that certainly is possible. Like Kevin indicated, right? It is kind of a no-brainer. With the kind of talent that we have, with the kind of innovativeness that is there in the industry here, it is going to happen. I think the time has come for that. But what it requires is a multi-stakeholder approach. There are certain strengths in India, and there are certain places where there is still some building to be done. For example, there is no company like Nokia, Ericsson, or say for example even if I take the name of Huawei, that is coming out of India. So there is a role for global players to work with the local industry partners, with the academia and government collaboratively in terms of developing technologies. That is when we will be able to convert research concepts into technologies that will be useful for the society. So I think government is on the path of building those structures. We have got Bharat 6G Alliance, we have TSDSI, which is the SDO. Then there are different industry forums, 5GIF, for example, which is also, discussing how we can develop technology together. So we are taking the steps in the right direction, but I think a little bit more collaborative and kind of open attitude in terms of freely allowing even companies which are outside of India to participate will really help spur the kind of innovation that will come. Because there is a big platform that has been built globally. I think we cannot start from the scratch. We have to stand on it and then take a bigger leap.
Sure. In terms of use cases, could you kind of list out few indicative killer applications that 6G could come up with? One uh, which is not a use case, but could be a use case in the direction of convergence of terrestrial networks and satellite communication, because currently both are working as a separate they're working in silos. But do you think that the conversation, the alliance is coming between terrestrial networks and satellite communication, and beyond that, do we foresee any killer application which could change the society and the way we live? Kevin, you have some comments to make?
Yeah, absolutely. So EchoStar is one of the only companies in the world that has terrestrial experience in wireless and wireline networks, non-terrestrial experience in our satellite base out there, both in TV and in data services, as well as global spectrum, right? So if we can utilize all those three together to put 6G or other services that basically connect everyone everywhere, forget about whether you're in rural America or India or anywhere else, right? Just say, I've got my iPhone and it can connect. Doesn't matter where I'm at. Those are things that are going to be our reality in the near term here. It's not even a decade away. So those are things that we're working on. Those are things that we're working with our partners on. And I'm excited to see that. From a killer application perspective, right, I think the more people we connect, the better it is for the world. And then the other side of that is I'm really excited for like immersive extended reality base and the networks that are required in order to support that, the networks that are required in order to support global AI initiatives that better the world in that space. And even crazy ideas like brain-computer interfaces, right? Those are going to be really unique if we actually can make this work and help us out as a society.
Sure. Satish, Nokia has a 6G lab here, and then Finland also. Then Nokia showcased some use cases in Barcelona during the Mobile World Congress. Do you want to kind of inform audience about the possibilities in terms of killer applications that we can expect in the next 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. As in, like we are already seeing such a big uptake of data. I mean, that itself is the killer monetizable application, even if you just allow the curve to grow as is. Even beyond that, there are a lot of possibilities that are already there in 5G, for example, XR and immersive communication that Kevin indicated. I mean, that has a potential to revolutionize education as well as ability to create more sustainable societies, because you don't need to travel actually, right? And that reduces all the allied energy costs. Then certainly we have a big set of industry that has not yet taken the advantage of the digital technologies. For example, logistics sector, manufacturing sector, mines. So all these industries, if we can create a network for them to easily use and lead to productivity there, that is going to be the clear application. That is where things like real-time digital twins, government has started this Sangam initiative, where they're talking about creating the network digital twins that can be used to plan cities. For example, plan a metro track more efficiently, save crores of rupees because of a good engineering decision as compared to a longer route. So these things. like real-time digital twins, collaborative robots for improving productivity of the industries, plus immersive applications are going to be something whose trend you will grow. I mean, there are more things to kill, I would say, than one killer application.
Sure. I think we have time for a couple of questions. If from the audience anyone want to kind of ask questions, we are happy to take it. People can raise hands. Yeah, we have one question.
Yeah, I'm from an automotive background. I'll give a use case of automotive where we have tens of cameras actually, at least maybe few tens of MBs being that needs to be processed. Currently, at the data rate at which we transfer, with all the clouds available there, I think if you have to process all these maybe tens of MBs of data, it requires a good speed. I think now we are at maybe few seconds to transfer these kind of speeds to the cloud and get back the processed data, right? If it has to be a real time within few milliseconds, maybe when do you see this can happen? Maybe is it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Satish?
Okay, I mean, this was, I can give a very easy answer. Yes, 6G will make it happen. But then, I mean, it is, so exactly to support such applications, 5G had already, started to work with 5G Automotive Association, as we are working with industry associations like, for example, 5G ACIA, where those requirements have been taken into consideration as part of the specification. We are looking at improving the different uplink speeds, trying to create edge computing platforms natively as part of the communication network that allows you to access the compute much closer to the node and hence create these real-time responses that would be very much required for supporting automotive applications. Although we are still not there, I would dare say, but the direction is right. And in the coming, next couple of years, I think with the advances in the edge computing, so the advances that we are making in the technology for supporting uplink data rates, we will be going to get there. It is going to be more real for some use cases, and for some more sophisticated use cases, like for example, fully on autonomous driving, that might take a little bit longer, even beyond 2030, I would say.
Any other question?
No, I'm afraid we've run out of time. Our speakers are going to be around, so I'd like to encourage you to take them offline.
Right. So safe to conclude the session. Thank you, nasscom, for this, for making this happen. Thank you, Kevin.
For more content on tech and leadership, subscribe to nasscom YouTube channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.